Boys, girls, and everyone else, welcome back to another Destiny Rising video. In this one, we're talking about Estella and her best build to do the maximum amount of damage possible in Destiny Rising. Let's get straight to it, because boy howdy, she does a ton of damage, and I think she's actually going to be a go-to for a lot of the top tier players when it comes to the late game, especially raids. So let's talk about her in great detail right now. First things first, if you're not aware, she is our first Warlock summoner, so all of her damage actually comes from her abilities. We talked about her abilities before she came out, but now that she's officially out, let's talk about all of it, and then the artifacts you're going to look for, the guns that you're going to want to optimize for, and everything in between. So first is her passive, which is Corruption. So attacking combatants with weapons accumulates corruption up to 10 times per second. Casting Bewitched Illusion consumes corruption. This ability cannot be cast without sufficient energy. So if we look at Bewitched Illusion, Estella summons a Bewitched Illusion to join the battlefield and fight combatants on its own. The more corruption she has accumulated, the higher the level of the summoned Bewitched Illusion will be, and the higher level it does, the more damage it does. And then we have for her other signature, signature 1, Misfortune's Guide unleashes a contaminated energy, dealing damage to hit combatants and inflicting them with misfortune, which misfortune makes it so you're marking the target, making your summons prioritize this specific target. So we get summons here that you can power up with your corruption. So the more basically corruption you've done, you can get up to a level 3 summon, and you can more or less maintain up to 2 of these Bewitched Illusions at one time. You could get up to a third, but it's very barely. But you can, however, with her super, do a Violent Revere, which is a dragon summon, which is super sick. It does a continuous beam that does a ton of damage. For her weapon mastery, attacking a combatant affected by misfortune with a weapon 11 times trigger Ascendant, dealing 689 solar damage to the combatant and granting 5 additional corruption. If a combatant is defeated with misfortune, Estella gains additional corruption equal to 7 times the number of Ascendants that have affected the target. Okay, you can see the Ascendants deal additional damage at level 2, up to 60% additional damage at level 3. And then for every time an Ascendant is triggered, the number of attacks required to trigger the next Ascendant on the combatant is reduced by 1 for a minimum of 7 attacks, which is pretty sick. And then at max level, Ascendants deal an additional 100% damage, which is crazy. For relic traits, combatants affected by Estella's own misfortune spread misfortune. Okay. To the nearest combatant within a 10-meter radius when they are defeated, dealing 1,567 solar damage. However, Misfortune's duration is reduced by 2 seconds with each spread until it reaches the minimum of 4 seconds. A single instance can spread up to 5 times. So you basically put Misfortune on somebody, you kill it, it spreads. They lose the cooldown by 2 seconds up to the maximum. It can only spread up to 5 times. And the minimum of seconds it'll reach is 4 seconds long. So the next one is going to be Dream Aid. So while Violent Revere is present, all combatants' misfortunes cooldowns, countdown, will be paused, and corruption will be accumulated with 80% more efficiency. Okay, words. Focus fire. So when Misfortune's Guide is cast, Bewitched Illusion's blink will fire 3 breaths of temptation at the target simultaneously. Okay, so all of her damage is coming from her summons, if you can't tell. So you're going to get this Bewitched Illusion, which is going to do, well, the illusion. It's like the sort of manta ray looking thing. And then you have the dragons. You can have a bunch of them all together. And basically the more damage you do with your guns, the faster you'll be able to get that corruption built up and ultimately have a stronger attacks. So the really cool thing is that she has a pulse rifle and a machine gun rifle, which is the same exact kit that we are currently using for Kabir. So if you look at Kabir, in terms of, not Kabir, but if you look at the weapons you would want to use for Estella, you're going to want to look no farther than the free-to-play or pay-to-play option, which is the Furries 3. And this is a Battle Pass exotic that you do get at level 50 for free, or level 10 in the Battle Pass, and then again at level 50 if you bought the paid Battle Pass. So I myself, whenever I do get Estella, who I am going to be pulling for, I will be using the free-to-play Furries that I get from level 50 Battle Pass, and that'll be my go-to exotic for Estella. If you're not aware, you can only have one exotic on a character at a time, so you do have to make that choice. When it comes to the machine guns, Scorched Earth is actually the one that I would go with. There's not a big difference between the two, but Scorched Earth is the most consistent damage in my opinion. And I already have not a god roll, but 2 out of the 3 exotic traits. So that's what I would go for. And I would probably just keep rolling. Now, should you want to not use the exotic Furies 3, you get 2 options for exotic so far for the machine gun slot. And the machine gun is really only going to be used during your burn phases. So when you have all of your summons out, you're going to be getting a ton more corruption if you're using a machine gun because it shoots way faster than your pulse rifle. So during burn phases or boss damage phases, you're going to want to switch to the machine gun. So you could make an argument that you're going to be doing a high amount of damage using an exotic for your machine gun in those phases, but I would use the argument that you're going to be using your pulse rifle for quite literally everything else, and I would rather have my exotic used most of the time instead of just some of the time. And that's my logic that I'll be applying to my own gameplay. You feel free to make your own. If you disagree with my logic and you insist on using an exotic for your machine gun slot, the Gallows is one option, as well as Heir Apparent. I would use Heir Apparent because this one has a slower fire rate, which is going to be not conducive to your current kit. You do get a little bit of extra damage with the grenades, but I would just, this one is going to be able to basically keep up a much higher amount of fire rate. So this weapon can be fired only when fully spun up, so it spins the weapon up. So you have to basically spin it up and then it goes. So I would highly recommend the Heir Apparent if you wanted to go for an exotic for the machine gun slot. Now let's go to the artifacts, because that's a big part of it as well. We talked about her weapons, we talked about her relic abilities, now her artifacts. This is a big part of her kit. Now, just in the trial, you can see here, they do show you a few, but we don't want to use all of these actually. So let's actually show you the right way. So when you go to, whoops, I don't want to do this. Let me out of here. If we go to activities, we go over here and we go to the bottom one, Singularity Chaos. Now for these, the first slot that I'm going to want you to do is going to be Warding Pact, which is right here, Warding Pact right here. So it's for every summon on the field, gain 1 stack of ward, which equals taking less damage, stacks up to 3 times. So if you have 3 people out, you do, it's almost 4%, so 4, 8, almost 12, just under, call it about 11% less damage you're taking overall, which is pretty sick. Now for the second slot, or slot 2, we're using Ring of Conversion, which is going to be giving us right here. So overflow, 28% of overflow healing from the wielder's own abilities is converted into an overshield that lasts 6 seconds. Okay, so you're going to be getting a little bit more of an overshield. You're going to have abilities that are going to heal you, which we'll get to here in a second, actually the third one. And we're going to be using Bilikos Pact. Not that one. It is a summon. This is the one that just gives you straight up damage. So this is the one, the wielder summons deal 12, almost 13% damage, 12.95% damage at rank 1. And that's just straight up damage, and it's the damage you're going to be using for the majority of your damage. And then for the last but not least, we're using Resonating Pact. And that one is Resonating Pact. Grants summons plus 14% attack damage for 6 seconds. All right. So those are the 4, but let's say you wanted other options. Yeah, later. What am I doing? All right, let's go back to where we were. So you can see that some of the artifacts they already give you are, they're options, right? So the first one they show you is summons restore 16% health. I'm in the way, you can't see. Go top right. So the first one is Nourishing Pact, which is summons restore health. Okay. The second one is summons restore health when assisting in a final blow. So you could go for a full final like kill if you wanted to. Let's look at what other ones I would recommend in case you just want to play with different builds. So if we went for just straight up summons, Nourishing Pact, summons restore health, warding. Okay, yeah, so for every summoning, wait, I think I showed you the wrong one. For every summon in the field, you gain a stack of, oh yeah, no, we did do this one. The second one feels wrong, though. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I took my notes over here, and I'm like, is that what I wanted? No. Interesting. All right. Anyway, so I'm gonna stick to my original comment. And additionally, you're gonna be healing yourself. You're gonna be healing your summons, and ultimately getting a little bit more sustain. Since she doesn't have a heal in her kit, you're going to be getting it from your first 2 artifacts, and then your last 2 artifacts are giving you the additional damage. Ultimately, she is I mean, I do not have her physically yet, but I will have her because I know how good she is, and her numbers don't lie. She is a top tier DPS, especially for raids. And while she doesn't have self-sustain built into her kit, you can very easily get it with the artifacts. So I'm very excited about getting her. Those of you that watch my videos know that I am 100% free to play, and I am 15 draws away from guaranteeing myself in Estella. And those of you that keep showing off that you got her way before me, you're making me cry. So thank you for that. Anyway, guys, sorry I did miss all of my videos yesterday. I was quite literally dying, but now we're back. So we are back to Destiny Rising daily content. If you want to see more of this and more like this, make sure you like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in a video very, very soon. See you later. Bye.